Welcome to the Political Matrix News. We have the sources, we have the truth from inside the political matrix.
Hello, welcome, folks. This is Greg Fink here on a Thursday night here for the Political Matrix News podcast, joined tonight by Jonathan Cole over there in Navarre, Florida. How you doing, Jonathan?
Doing pretty good.
You doing pretty good? You having fun over there in the campaign season yet?
No.
Oh, come on. It's a barrel of monkeys. It's a laugh.
There aren't many races left.
No, but we do have the big presidential race. I mean, we had that wonderful debate that just happened a couple of nights ago. I mean, what did you think of that spirited debate? I mean, the last one left Biden sitting around in a ditch, and he had to go ahead and get out of the race. And I don't think it had the same effect this one here to anybody, but we did have some of the strangest comments, I think, out of a debate I've ever heard. And I mean, whether I like the guy or not, I mean, eating cats and eating dogs and eating animals and eating pets.
I saw the same Trump I've seen since 2016, so I don't know.
Well, he was not talking about eating other people's pets and animals at the time.
He was pandering to his base, which he's been doing since 2016. It's just the base believes more bizarre crap now than it did back then.
Yeah, I mean,
they were both standing there stupid, like, what do? We can't, and that's been a kind of a thing. You can't yell at a former president, shut the hell up. Yeah, it's like, but they just let him talk.
Well, actually, Camilla did tell him to shut the hell up. I mean, I think Camilla, all her nonverbals and everything else, was very, very disrespectful to a former president.
No, it wasn't, because he hasn't been respectful for a single human being all of his life. So,
okay, that has nothing to do with the disregard that she showed him.
He threw decorum out the window as president starting in 2016. It's yeah.
How do you say that?
Huh?
How do you mean that?
He's thrown decorum. He's been the least presidential acting president we have ever had, and he's proud of it.
Oh, there's been other least presidential presidents that we've had just without cameras on or without social media. I mean, come on. I mean, this is just overly magnified because we have all these cameras everywhere.
Well, but still, even
Grant
George W. Bush acted presidential.
Grant was an alcoholic.
Presidential. I mean,
Andrew Jackson.
Name-calling.
Andrew Jackson was killing people and slaughtering nations and everything else and committing genocide before he was president and while he was president. And Grant was an alcoholic and a raging alcoholic. And if there had cameras everywhere around those guys, it would have been much more entertaining than Trump. Probably make Trump look pretty boring.
I doubt that. But again, I think America, if you hadn't already seen it, this is the real Donald Trump.
And this is a real Kamala Harris. I mean, and Kamala Harris was, in my opinion, did not talk about any issues whatsoever. She did not say anything she wanted to do. She just kept on saying she had a plan, but she didn't say what the plan is. I mean, this whole opportunity economy. I mean, I understand opportunity zones and economic opportunity zones and CB, CRAs and all those wonderful programs that are created by the government to help low-income people. I get that, but creating an entire economy around that is a little bit different.
You made some good points that I've always agreed with, is this country needs to invest in entrepreneurship, starting small business, tax credits, and things like that.
And it should, but I mean, it has to do it unbiasedly.
We just give we give them the tax breaks and the subsidies, and we let them do whatever they want, but we don't help out the mom and pop, that want to start a business. And years ago, it was you owned a butcher shop, or you had a book or a book printer or something. Now it's women, mostly women, Pinterest, storefronts, and they're merchant. Or they have eBay stores, or they're doing things with the internet, and it's It's the same free enterprise principle. Those people, that's who we need to be helping.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't. I mean, yes, helping them is great and everything else. That definitely needs to be done, but you cannot be doing it by overly taxing the rich and the corporations and everything else. I mean,
Not overly taxing them, just let them pay their fair share.
they are paying their fair share, and that's just a
They're
wonderful
not.
classic statement that Democrats always say, not realizing that the rich do have lawyers to go ahead and get around all the wonderful loopholes that they put in
But
the tax
it's
code system.
loophole. We've been saying that for years.
Well, they're not closing the loopholes. All they're using this as a phrase just to go ahead and divide more
Millionaires
people.
should be
And in
paying the
all
same
reality,
people.
the more you do tax the rich, the less they pay everybody else, and the more they
No,
lay people off.
you can cut their taxes and do the same thing. The money goes to the
And they
Caymans,
don't.
and then they put factories overseas. They're only
And there should be a penalty for that. I agree. There should be a penalty for putting jobs overseas. I think jobs need to stay here in America.
every time they get a tax break, they don't do anything to invest in America. Never happened.
That's not true.
We're moving more and more auto plants, at least the ones we used to call American, to Mexico and overseas and other locations.
Well, that's
Most
more or
of
less
the
that's more or less because Biden's encouraging to do it.
No, not this was going on
The federal government's been
6 years
pushing
ago.
to do it. What?
This was going on 6 years ago.
It's been going on around 15 years ago too, during Obama's time and everything else, during 2008 all the way through 2016. During Obama's time, they were leaving town and leaving the shores of America, and they're picking up the pace here right now with Biden.
Actually, it's been going on since the 70s. So
yeah, but it needs to be occurred. I mean, Trump did do a good job of trying to curb it, but there's not much you could do in 20 months. I mean, people keep talking about he did not have a 48-month term. He had 20 months of governing without COVID. After COVID, people keep having this amnesia effect that all the states shut down. No, all the states shut. What? No, the states shut their businesses down. No, he's not responsible for COVID.
Yes, he is.
I like how you guys like to blame the Chinese pandemic on Trump. Well, the reality is Hunter Biden's buddies in China who are actually the ones doing all this. If you want to blame anybody about it, blame the Bidens. They probably even knew about the Wuhan flu before it even got started.
Well, but if we had the
reality of it,
pandemic task force could have caught it early, except Trump got rid of it because it was an Obama thing, and so they didn't catch it. Then when it started hitting,
you guys just find every single thing to blame every single thing. No.
He denied it for months until he got it. Then he got it. Then he got vaccinated.
I think he did a pretty good job of putting Fauci in charge of a lot of stuff prematurely and early. I mean, Fauci was out there saying all his wonderful ideas of how to not get it being wrong time and time over and over again about saying everybody's staying isolated and staying sheltered and wearing masks and everything else. I mean, basically, what we're finding out years later is that none of that really helped or did a damn bit of difference. What?
The horse was out of the barn. We didn't have any choice at that point.
No, the horse is out of the barn going the wrong direction and everything else. I mean, nobody redirected the horse or caught the horse. I mean, the whole reality is that we overcompensated in such a high level that we shut so many economies down. You shut down the entire government, the entire private sector.
People were dying.
Yes, they were dying. Correct. And we handled it.
It was just like the Spanish flu.
Isolation was not the only way of doing it.
You had to isolate.
No, that was fear creating the isolation.
No, it was.
I mean, Florida didn't isolate. Florida actually handled it pretty good comparatively.
We isolated for 6 months.
6 weeks.
6 months.
Not really altogether. We both live in Florida. We know the reality here.
I was in Florida for 6 months.
I mean, wearing a mask. I mean, I still wear a mask every now and then myself. A few years later, if I'm around a lot of sick people.
In government state agencies.
Yeah, but to the degree that you're talking about in other parts of the nation, where they're shutting down the economies. I mean, the whole point here is that the economy was shut down state by state.
Because he allowed the pandemic to
No,
become.
because the governors did it. The governor shut down the economy state by state.
They had to protect
They did not have to.
citizens' lives. I'm for every governor that did that, Republican or Democrat, doesn't matter. They had no choice because the orange moron refused to admit it was an issue and prevented
No, you guys, you keep on going back to just blaming one person here for not admitting that it was as bad or it was, I mean, to the definition of where y'all think he should be at saying how bad or what level of condition the disease was at. No, I mean, the reality is that,
four times during the Obama administration, avian flu was one of them. We had 4 pandemics.
There's nothing like COVID. None of those pandemics was anything like COVID.
No, because they got ahead of them. They weren't. The pandemic task force got ahead of it and prevented it from becoming a pandemic. And that 4 times that happened because he let the CDC do its fucking job. Trump has to be this fearmonger and this whole all federal government is evil, so the CDC is evil. The pandemic task force, that's an Obama creation. It's got to go, and then Fauci, he's a con artist, and, it's all fake. Don't wear a mask. Don't do this. And look where we went.
Okay, I do understand that the whole warfare and the entire semantic attack on everybody was a little bit overrun. But the reality here is, I mean, the reason, I mean, everybody keeps talking about the entire 4 years of his economy. He in all reality, he didn't have 4 years to act as a president as most other presidents do.
Well,
that's just the reality. The first 20 months is all he had.
The Obama wave. He can't take credit, but you can't take credit for the first 2 years of your previous administration's efforts.
Right. Well, Biden sure as hell took credit for the first year of his.
No, he inherited a train wreck. Record unemployment.
Unemployment because of COVID. I mean, you have to realize the everything that you're talking about, the record health issues, the record economic issues, and everything else, were not done by Trump or any of Trump's policies. They were done because China was killing Americans.
It was
done. You need to realize that no, this is a biological warfare against America, and people need to realize that. And for some reason, that people seem to forget that in the whole mix of all this. They just want to find somebody to blame because it's easier to blame the orange man and to go ahead and blame China because they give us so many goods and services.
Because they didn't fight it.
Because everybody's in love with China. So you guys are in love with China and everything else, and keep wanting to take money from China and take goods and services from China, and you're afraid to do any kind of, anything against them whatsoever. I mean, the NBA is still in love with China. I mean, the sports groups and other sporting groups are just like they're trying to be in charge of everything because they have such a wonderful human rights issue, because they have such a wonderful issue with the environment. No, I was being sarcastic on both of those.
What about the environment?
Well, I think China's use of the environment or the abuse of it is far worse than anybody else's combined.
Yeah, but Trump said to the oil guys, if you give me $1 billion, I'll cut back all those EPA. You keep trying to paint him into something.
No, I'm not trying. No, you keep trying to put words in my mouth, saying I'm trying to paint him so much way. What I'm just trying to say is that there are other. That's one thing a lot of Democrats like to do. Like to put words in my mouth, saying that if I don't go ahead and attack one guy 100%, then I'm basically defending him 100%. I'm not. I'm saying there are other enemies out there. There are other bad people out there. There are other bad actors out there. And he is not the only one. A lot of them are in the same party and are working with Kamala.
Leaders. By having a strong leader that fights them, not someone who...
Well, we have several bad leaders in this country. In both parties. No. America has several bad leaders.
The time. Sorry.
And basically... What?
The buck stops there. He was in charge for COVID.
Right. And so the buck stops here with the Biden and everything else and Kamala, and how come everything's so bad with the economy and the border and everything else right now?
The economy's not bad.
The economy's not bad.
Nope.
And what world are you living in?
It's called leading economic indicators, and they're all
Okay,
pitching
well,
high.
leading economic indicators
All
in
you
my
can talk
pocket and my
about is
shelf and my
cost of
gas
living and
station.
inflation.
Okay, you know what?
It's a very bizarre economy.
Whenever your leading economic indicators catch up to Main Street, let me know. Okay, because
All
they're nowhere
right.
near Main Street yet.
And unemployment is low. The
It's,
market's
unemployment is low because people aren't reporting it because they're, you know, I mean, unemployment offices are shutting down. In
no,
fact,
listen.
there's not even an unemployment office in Alachua County. Okay, you have to go 3 counties over to even file for unemployment. Of course, it's low if you can't file. You know,
No,
I mean, people can't do their paperwork. The lack of
people
paperwork creates a
are
lack of
not
numbers. The lack
filing.
of numbers displays a lack of people filing unemployment.
Unemployment
It
is at a
fixes the
low.
numbers.
No,
It's
again,
like that around the country.
I don't want to hear Dr. Goebbels' version of the Republican
It's not
view.
Dr. Gerber's version. I mean, DeSantis has shut down unemployment offices here in Florida.
Well,
You know,
that's because he wants to be a dictator.
well, that's your version of Dr. Gerbil. And so, I mean, the whole thing here is that it's both parties who are screwing this whole thing up. Okay, I
No,
mean, it's not an easy fix, period,
the
because we have
economy
bad
at
actors
every
on both
level, except
sides.
for the cost of living,
I think that's
is
one
doing
thing.
well
No,
by every leading economic indicator
no.
we studied since college.
Okay, well,
And
any
then
indicator
you've
you're
got
saying since college, maybe
multiple
you're looking at.
researchers
I
who
know
admit they price gouged.
what 40 states are you looking at or something? I mean, because here in Florida, no, in Florida we having a housing crash right now, and having an economic bust
But I mean,
like crazy.
I'm sorry. Who's running the state of Florida?
Yeah, but
How
you're
many elected officials with the state
okay.
of
It's the third largest. It's the third largest state in the nation,
Florida?
and you were just talking about how
Yes.
your economic
Governor
indicator was
from
nationwide.
governor down, what party runs the state?
Yes, I already know that. And so my point
So,
is that
so
your
what's your
leading
point?
economic indicators
I'm
are
talking
not
about national.
relevant.
You throw all the numbers in a bucket and you average them out.
Well, I understand that works. California's a mess too. New York
Not
ain't doing all that great either. I mean, you got the 3 most populous states in the nation, and then you throw in Texas, but they want to go ahead and kill people for having abortions. I mean, that's not really a great place to hang out, to hang your hat. I mean, my point is, I mean, all these leading economic indicators might be some cooking in the book somewhere. I don't know, maybe some funny numbers, because
No,
if they
they
are, then basically
I learned
you're
in
saying
the
like states like Oklahoma and Missouri and Nebraska and Tennessee and all these small populous states are controlling the entire the indicators of the country, which they're
They
not.
don't have the capacity. 3 states control most of the country. There's 3
Exactly.
points,
The 3 states are in the toilet.
but
California, New York, and Florida
market is
are a
strong,
mess.
employment is down, and
Insurance, no.
commodity market is strong.
In the 3 states, they are not.
Gas
That's a
prices are going down. They're
where?
271 now.
Okay,
Food prices
the
are going down.
360 here.
It's 271 here in San Jose.
361 over here in Alachua County.
I don't know what y'all's problem is.
And it's near $4 a gallon in South Florida.
It's not. It's not a bad economy, other than the inflation,
Anyway,
which a lot
the
of
whole idea
retailers
is,
have admitted that we price gouged. Sorry, but we did.
I mean,
Um,
the whole idea of the debate, though, I mean, going back to the debate, is that, and just kind of like you and I have different opinions on the exact same issues, there were no issues talked about in that debate. I mean, it was very, very silly debate, in my opinion.
no, it went right according to plan.
Well, according to plan for your maniacal, consultant idea, yeah. I mean, let's make the
But
old guy let's make the old guys look stupid and crazy. Let's make
that's not hard to do. Just let him talk.
and let's like Kamala Harris look like some cackling person who just wants to laugh at everything he says, because she laughs a lot. I mean, she laughed a lot,
But see,
and she
number
cackled a
one,
lot.
she did not follow the Hillary Clinton. Oh, I'm so offended by what you're
I know she
saying.
did. You're correct about that. She was not offended, or she was not sheepish
which
at all.
strengthens character.
Yeah, she called bullshit on all of it.
And she also, again, just let the man talk. He'll dig his own grave. That was the plan, and she did, and he did.
Well, I
Viktor
think
Orban is a great leader. He listens to me.
you
You
got
can
me on
listen
that
to
one.
me.
Yeah, you got
Let's
me
keep
on that
going.
one.
Oh, you know, she's gonna be terrible for the country. Oh, and she's gonna take your guns. And there's
Yeah,
gonna
I
be
know
some
where that one came out.
Democratic people that are gonna kill babies after they're born.
Okay, granted, he has some issues there on some of the stuff. Okay,
I
and
haven't
but
even
her,
I haven't even gone over them all.
yeah, I mean, but her whole thing about
But
basically about her saying that,
understand,
basically like you blaming everything on COVID on him and say he wants to ban abortions. I mean, he doesn't want to ban abortions. He's not going
yeah,
to do it. I mean, in fact, no, actually, this whole idea here of the states picking it out, if you haven't noticed, the states are all pro choice. How many amendments have gone out where the
yes.
states are voting on it and it's
Let's look
failed?
at that.
No, no, no,
Florida,
let's look at that real quick.
the
How
governor
many?
is legally trying to influence the election.
Okay, we're not talking about that right now. That's the next segment. Okay,
But
what we're
that's
talking about
okay.
here, what we're
I
talking
get
about right
the
now
whole
is
Republican thing. Let's let the states decide. But you know what we get when we do that? We get segregation. We get slavery. We get a lot
okay.
of, you know.
Let's go ahead and talk about it right now. Then here in Florida, we got the
No,
governor
no, no, we're
going.
not done with the debate yet. Hold on,
What?
because we're not done with the debate yet. Because
No, well, right now we're talking about the abortion issue here in Florida. And right now, because I mean, that's part of the debate was that here we're giving it back to the states, letting the states talk about it and handle it. And granted, every state has gone in for a ballot for it has passed pro-choice.
even
The
even red.
pro-choice movement have won, even
So,
red states, correct? Now
so
here in Florida, we got the governor having his team go door to door to the people who signed petitions supporting the pro-choice ballot initiative to extend abortions unlimitedly, and he's actually having people go door to door to intimidate voters and basically ask them if it was really them who signed the petition
he
or
also
did somebody else
has
do it.
ads. He's buying political ads.
Exactly. And so in Florida, we do have a little bit of a bizarre issue here with the Governor DeSantis here after he got done playing around with parks a few weeks ago and wanting to go ahead and destroy most of the parks for golf courses. Actually, I'm sorry, just 10% of the parks, 9 parks actually.
Actually, they
So
found out there were another 17 parks that they
yeah,
were going
at the end of the day, it's still, I mean, it's still not the majority because there's 1,500 parks, but I mean, but
to
it's still,
but
it's
one,
still a
one,
lot.
one was too
Anyway,
many.
this is kind of governor we have here, and so we have a governor here who's doing that. Then he wants to go, and there's some sort of board, and that's great if they want to validate signatures that way. That's not the process, though. That's not
It's
how it
already
works.
been.
The process is that you validate them at the SOE office here in Florida. For
You
anybody who
already.
knows exactly, and it's a very stringent validation process. I
And
know.
you're,
I
and
have
you're
been
thinking
involved in
this-
petition drives. You've been involved in petition drives for
the
25 years. It
funny
is
part
tough.
of it is, the funny part is they're looking for dead voters who sign petitions, but they're
Yeah,
going to live people's homes.
and that's the bizarre part. If you're looking for dead voters to sign petitions, you should be calling up the people who handle dead voters, which is
Not
like
they put
Social
them
Security
in.
or the Vital Statistics or any kind of group like that. Is also inside your government. That you also have records of. That's what you should be doing, not going to their houses and seeing if the dead people are still alive or not. It doesn't work like that, guys. And so,
Yesterday, or was it 2 days? Yesterday, the Florida Supreme Court fast tracked the case over his election interference.
right.
So they see an issue.
Yeah, I mean it is an issue. I mean, you need to stay out of the process and let's let the process
You
run.
know, when I come back from
Then you
Alabama,
investigate later.
I see this sign that says "Free State of Florida," and I think about that. That's what South Africa used to call their states: the Free State of Orange and the Free State of Lesotho. And there was no freedom in South
No,
Africa when that was.
there's a lot of freedom here.
If you're a
There
Republican,
is.
white male,
No, there's a lot of freedom here in Florida, but what we need to have is we need to make sure everybody stays in their own lane. I mean, you have to allow freedom to be free.
because obviously he's not capable.
Well, hopefully, I mean, the governor, does not raid us, or
Too
we don't
many
have any
years.
FDL raids here in the next day or two.
He's got
But
too many.
I know you and I could both be raided here in the next week after
Mm-hmm.
this podcast gets out. So I mean, that's a possibility.
Well, I mean, you got to remember that it's him and Ashley Moody and a few others are implicated as election interferers. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's a mess.
and this is the tip of the iceberg of his abuses of powers over the last 2 years. We can't even get into all of it in one night.
Yeah. Well, we can, but I don't feel safe doing it at this exact moment in my life. I think we've done enough to be picking on some of the other political boogeymen out there who are all real
But
reasons
that's
to
my
pick on.
point. Is
But the political intimidation factor is a very high level right now. In fact, somebody asked me earlier this week, how do we sleep at night? I'm like, very carefully.
well, you're fine. You're a Republican. You didn't sign the petition. I didn't sign a petition, but you know,
You're a funny guy. You're a funny guy. I think
uh,
Republicans attacking Republicans is worse than Democrats attacking Republicans.
well, now
I'm just
right
trying
now
to stand up for the
Republicans are
virtues
attacking
of the party.
Democrats. Well, now today in a Republican fundraiser, the leader of the Republican Party of Florida, who is governor, told every Republican there they better support the fight against Amendment 4 or else. What does
Or
or else?
else.
What does that mean? Let's intimidate your own party.
Well, let's not forget who started the heartbeat bill. Let's not forget where it came from.
The what?
The heartbeat bill that gave us this entire abortion mess. This whole thing was started and originated by a wonderful representative named Mike Hill,
No,
who's no longer there anymore. Thank God he lost to Michelle Salzman.
but I
And
mean
then it
it's
was carried
yeah,
on after him by Alex Andrade.
yeah. But it's
So those are the guys to blame for all this this
but on
mess.
the national scale, that's always been the Republican thing is leave it up to the states.
Right.
You can't trust the states.
Yes, you can trust the states.
You can't.
Yes, you
Florida's a
can.
great example.
Okay, Florida's a little unique.
Okay,
But you can
so
trust the states. You
the
can trust
state,
the.
state gets to
That's
decide.
the reason why. That's the reason why you're leaving
Well,
it to the ballot. I mean, the way it's going right now, with it going to a ballot initiative, you can trust the people of Florida. You can't trust the
well, not
127
if your
guys and
governor, let's use that word y'all
50
like to
people.
use, weaponizes his entire state bureaucracy to fight against it.
That's not going to work. The people we got 26 million people here. We got 19 million voters, for God's sakes.
Is he gonna? You
Say
don't think he's
14
gonna
million.
do
A lot of
something that
voters.
would work?
What?
You don't think he's gonna do something that he doesn't think will work?
I don't think it's going to work. No.
Well, last I saw, it was 69% for. I mean, a lot of Republicans are in favor of it.
Actually, right now, there's a poll that came out today. It had 55% for, 25% against, and 20% unsure.
Whose poll was that?
I think it was FAU or
I
Harris,
don't
one or the
trust
other.
them.
But the whole point is that 20% were unsure, and that unsure is probably going to go toward the affirmative. And so that will make it 75%.
Yeah, not the
For
total. It'll split in half usually, which would still be more than 60. But
yeah,
I'm already hearing that once that's passed, then they're going to challenge it in court for years.
oh yeah. I mean, everything in Florida. I mean, if people don't understand the way Florida works with their constitutional amendments, I mean, even the medical marijuana stuff got challenged and refined and reworded before the statutes and everything else. And that's the way
And
Florida has that liberty to do that. After it passes the ballot initiative, then the lawyers come in, make sure all the statutes are written properly
that was
to
supposed to
handle.
happen before it went on the
No,
amendment.
what happens before is that the writing, the wording of the amendment is there to pass the statute level, which is a lower level than once this becomes a Florida statute. Is a higher threshold. It has to have a higher criteria to make sure it's going to stay a constant law. That's not going to be sued all the time.
Because the people can't be trusted.
Because you don't want a statute that is relevant to be given to lawsuits like on a privileged basis. You want to be able to pass all the herefores and therefores and shall nots and everything else and
The only
wonderful legal
lawsuits I would
jargonism
would be
pass.
DeSantis' secret police trying to enforce an abortion ban when there is none.
Okay.
Because
You just
apparently
keep
he
coming up with
doesn't.
a boogeyman and
Well,
everything.
I don't know. It's there. I can keep bringing it up,
Well,
especially
yeah,
if it's
I know there are secrets of it's not the secret police though. It's the Florida, not the Florida Guard, but some of like the Florida State Guard. That's what it is.
which he
The National
expanded
Guard.
again this year.
Yeah, because we have
Yeah.
a lot of hurricanes.
No.
They're there to help for hurricanes.
No. That's not what they're there
They
for.
do with that a lot.
No,
They're not
it's.
being used for book burnings or
I've
anything like
already
that.
got a MAGA person who's a member that told me why they have it. It's because it's a force that can't be federalized. So
Right.
it's
It's
a
a state force.
loyalty to Ron DeSantis.
So what is the Florida Constitution? Yeah,
The Constitution,
of Florida.
the Second Amendment, the part that Republicans don't like to repeat, talks about a well-regulated militia. That means the National Guard.
Right.
Yes. So
Yes, I
that's
agree.
what we have in this state. If a governor
I
decides
mean,
to send
in this state, we have 2 or 3 National Guards. I mean, we got the State Guard, we got the National Guard, we got militias all over the place in Florida. I mean, there's militias everywhere.
they can all be federalized. They're all connected to current branches of the military. It's like what happened in Alabama in '63 when Kennedy nationalized the Alabama National Guard and
Right.
had to go up to the schoolhouse door and tell Wallace to get the hell out, and he did. DeSantis doesn't want that, or if he does, he wants an equal force that can fight it.
Right.
So,
well, it's going to be very interesting. But we're going to take a real quick break here, and we'll be back here on the next segment here. And remind you guys to follow us, click us, subscribe, do everything you can to put us out there on the social media platforms, share us, and just make sure you like us and tell everybody about us. And please continue to follow us. We are the Political Matrix News podcast, and we'll be right back. Thank you.